Dr. Reyes stared at her monitor long after Commander Vrax's transmission ended, her fingers tracing the strange harmonic distortion pattern she'd isolated. The Mars Research Station's emergency klaxons had finally stopped, leaving an eerie silence punctuated only by distant voices and the soft hum of life support systems. "You're still here." Station Director Phillips appeared in the doorway, his face haggard from hours of emergency meetings. "The transport to Earth leaves in 30 minutes. All non-essential personnel." "I'm not going," Rice said without looking up. "There's something here, something important." Phillips sighed. "Elena, I understand your dedication, but the Security Council wants all xenolinguistics experts centralized for the negotiations." She finally turned, dark eyes intense beneath her close-cropped hair. "Send them my data. I need the specialized equipment here." She gestured to her customized spectral analyzer. "Look at this pattern. It appears every 3.7 seconds during the collective's communication." "And that means?" Phillips stepped closer despite himself. "I don't know yet, but it's not a translation artifact. It's in their actual communication stream, like a processing glitch." She pulled up another screen showing comparison data. "This is similar to what we see in human AI communication bandwidth overloads." Phillips ran a hand through his thinning hair. "Even if you're onto something, what good does it do us? Their ships are bigger than our cities. Their weapons could crack Mars in half if the rumors are true." Outside the viewport, the crystalline edge of a collective scout vessel drifted silently against the rust-colored horizon, its surface reflecting the pale Martian sunlight in hypnotic patterns. "Knowledge is leverage," Rise replied softly. "We need every advantage we can get." After Phillips reluctantly left, Rise sealed her lab and activated her private communication array. If she was right, the collective's monitoring systems wouldn't detect properly shielded transmissions that mimicked normal system noise. She entered a frequency she hadn't used in 5 years. "Hiroshi, it's Elena," she said when the connection stabilized. "I know we didn't part on good terms, but this is bigger than us. I found something in the collective communications that reminds me of your neural interface failures." Static hissed for several seconds before a familiar voice responded. "The great Dr. Rice needs my help. The end of the world truly is upon us." Despite the bitter words, Hiroshi's tone held more weariness than anger. "I'm sending you the data now. Tell me if I'm imagining things." The silence stretched so long, she thought the connection had failed. Finally, "Where can we meet? This isn't secure enough." "The old observatory at Olympus Station. It's automated now." 20 hours, he replied. "And Elena, bring the original recordings. All of them." As the connection closed, Dr. Rice gazed at the collective ship through her viewport. For the first time since the massive alien vessels had appeared, she felt something other than dread, something almost like hope. She began gathering her equipment, knowing that any chance of outsmarting the most advanced species in the galaxy would require not just her expertise, but also the brilliant mind of the one person she'd once vowed never to speak to again. The Olympus Station observatory dome creaked in the Martian wind as Reyes finished connecting her equipment to the abandoned facility's power grid. Through the partially open roof, the stars seemed impossibly bright, the Earth a distant blue jewel. She checked her watch. Hiroshi was late. "Your security protocols need work," came a voice from the shadows. Reyes spun around to see Hiroshi Tanaka emerge from behind a decommissioned telescope. 5 years had aged him more than they should have, his once immaculate appearance replaced by utilitarian clothing and an unkempt beard streaked with premature gray. "How long have you been here?" she asked, masking her surprise. "Long enough to sweep for monitoring devices." He approached her workstation, deliberately maintaining distance between them. "The collective has tech that can read vibrations off glass from orbit." Reyes nodded toward her equipment. "That's why we're using analog. No digital signature." A ghost of the old Hiroshi appeared as curiosity overcame his reserve. He picked up her modified spectral analyzer, examining her customizations with professional appreciation. "Clever workaround. You always did have good hands. Unlike your neural interface volunteers, she said, then immediately regretted it. His expression hardened. 3 people with temporary paralysis versus humanity's extinction. I still think my research was justified. It doesn't matter now, Rice said, redirecting to the crisis at hand. Look at these communication patterns. The distortion increases whenever they interact directly with humans versus when they communicate among themselves. Hiroshi studied the readings, his annoyance gradually replaced by intense focus. He pulled the battered tablet from his pack, running calculations as Reyes explained her theory about neural incompatibility. It's not just incompatibility, he finally said, eyes alight with realization. It's an active disruption. Their system expects certain neural patterns, organized, sequential. Human brains are messier, running parallel processes, emotional subroutines alongside logical ones. He connected her analyzer to his tablet, overlaying the collective's communication patterns with human neural mappings from his old research. Look at this interference pattern, he said, pointing to where the waves collided chaotically. They're not just struggling to understand us. Our thought patterns actively disrupt their processing. Reyes leaned closer, their shoulders nearly touching as they studied the display. Could we amplify this effect? Better. Hiroshi's fingers flew across the screen, modeling potential outcomes. We could weaponize it. Create algorithms that mimic human neural chaos but amplified exponentially. A cognitive virus, Reyes whispered. Exactly. His eyes met hers, the old connection briefly rekindling. But we need test subjects and access to actual collective tech, not just intercepted communications. As if responding to his words, the observatory trembled slightly. Through the dome opening, they spotted a collective scout ship passing overhead, its crystalline surface catching the starlight. They're increasing patrols, Rice said. We need to move quickly and find allies. I have a contact in Mars Colony Security, Sophia Chen. If anyone can get us what we need. Hiroshi nodded, already packing his equipment. First, we need proof of concept. He held up a small neural interface device, and I'll need a volunteer. Reyes met his gaze steadily. You're looking at her. Security Chief Sophia Chen watched the Araxian advisor through narrowed eyes as the 4-armed alien meticulously sorted through historical archives in the Mars Colony Central Library. The purple-skinned being, who had introduced itself as cultural liaison Sorel, seemed particularly interested in footage of Earth's civil conflicts. Fascinating behavioral patterns, Sorel remarked without looking up. All 4 eyes focused on different screens simultaneously. Humans fight even when survival is not threatened. We're complicated, Chen replied neutrally, her hand never straying far from her concealed pulse pistol. Despite the collective's disarmament orders, she had ensured the security forces maintained a hidden arsenal. Is there a specific era you're researching? All eras illuminate, the Araxian said. The collective seeks complete understanding. Chen's comm device vibrated subtly against her wrist, the signal from her network that Dr. Reyes had arrived at the secure meeting location. Please continue your research. I have duties to attend to. The Araxian's upper eyes blinked in acknowledgement, while the lower pair remained fixed on footage of ancient tank formations. Shen wondered if the being realized it was only being shown carefully curated materials, nothing revealing true human military capabilities or strategic thinking. 20 minutes later, after ensuring she wasn't followed, Shen entered the maintenance sublevel of Habitat Dome 3. The chamber had once housed water recycling equipment, but now served as one of several resistance meeting points, undetectable to collective scans thanks to specialized shielding disguised as radiation containment. Dr. Reyes and a haggard-looking man, Chen assumed was the infamous Dr. Tanaka, were reviewing data on vintage physical displays, technology so outdated the collective wouldn't bother monitoring it. Show me, Chen said without preamble. Reyes gestured to a neural mapping display. We have proof of concept. Human thought patterns create disruption in their systems. When amplified through Hiroshi's interface, we can temporarily disable their tech. Temporarily isn't enough, Chen countered. And we can't exactly ask the invaders to wear neural interfaces. Tanaka stepped forward. We don't need to. Their systems are constantly scanning us. It's how they monitor for resistance. We can use their own observation networks against them. He pulled up a schematic of what appeared to be a modified communication relay. This will broadcast amplified neural patterns, essentially a cognitive jamming signal. But we need components from their technology to properly calibrate it. Chen's expression remained impassive, but her mind raced through possibilities. The observation tower in Sector 7 is minimally guarded. My team cold. Too risky, Rise interrupted. We need a less direct approach. What about the advisors? Could we obtain technology from them? The Araxians never remove certain components, Chen said thoughtfully. Communicator implants, specifically. They're always connected to the collective network. Tanaka's eyes lit up. That's it. The quantum entanglement node. If we could extract one intact. Chen nodded slowly. I have someone who could get close to an advisor. Medical staff conducting the required human collective biological exchange protocols. She activated a secure communication channel. Dr. Lai, we need your expertise for a special patient. She looked at Reyes and Tanaka with grim determination. If we're really doing this, we need to establish the Europa base immediately. It's our only hope if this goes wrong. Not if, Tanaka corrected quietly. When? Because if the collective realizes what we're attempting, their response will be immediate and overwhelming. Through the habitat dome's transplast ceiling, they could see another massive collective vessel sliding into orbit around Mars, its crystalline surface reflecting the sunlight like a giant predatory eye. Don't move, Rise instructed as she carefully attached monitoring equipment to Krill's damp, iridescent skin. The captured Forian technician trembled slightly, his large eyes tracking every movement in the Europa facility's makeshift interrogation room. Your species' biology is fascinating, she continued, trying to establish rapport. Amphibious adaptation with enhanced sensory capabilities. We were oceanic before the collective found us, Krill replied, his voice a melodic whisper. They valued our ability to work in underwater environments. Is that why you're here? To assess Europa's oceans for the collective? Chen asked from where she stood guarding the door, her expression hard. The alien's gill slits fluttered in what Reyes recognized as distress. No, I came to find you. He looked directly at Reyes. Rumors spread among the lower castes about resistance, about humans who could disrupt the network. Tanaka, who had been silently analyzing readings from the monitoring equipment, looked up sharply. How did you find us? I monitored communication disruption patterns. Small anomalies in the network pointed to this location. Krill's webbed hands twisted together nervously. The overseers will notice soon. Why tell us this? Chen demanded. Why betray your people? They are not my people. Krill's outburst was sudden, his normally soft voice rising. 20 years ago, my world was like yours. Independent, developing. The collective arrived offering knowledge, technology. Then came the optimization. He touched a scared area at the base of his skull. Neural reconfiguration for those deemed compatible. Genetic modification for the rest. The elders, artists, historians, all processed or eliminated as inefficient elements. Reyes exchanged glances with Tanaka. Processed. In response, Krill activated a small device embedded in his forearm. A holographic projection appeared, showing humanoid beings with Forian features being systematically altered, their bodies reconfigured for specialized tasks, personalities stripped away, memories selectively erased. 3 civilizations have undergone complete processing in my lifetime, he continued softly. The Beridians, once master philosophers, now serve as biological computing components. The Vashin, warriors who resisted longest, reduced to security drones with no self-awareness. Tears formed in his large eyes. The collective preserves nothing except what serves efficiency. Art, music, literature, all discarded. Innovation dies because unpredictability threatens their perfect system. Tanaka stepped forward, his scientific detachment momentarily broken. How can we trust you? This could be manipulation. Krill extended his arm, revealing an access port beneath his scales. This contains authentication codes to collective databases. Take them. See the truth yourselves. Chen nodded to a technician, who carefully extracted data from the offered connection. If what you're saying is true, Rai said, you've committed treason against the collective. Why risk everything to help us? Krill's gaze was steady despite his fear. Because in 20 years as their property, I've seen the collective conquer dozens of worlds, but never encountered a species that made their systems. Glitch, you are unpredictable in ways that terrify them. A technician burst into the room. Security breach. Collective scanners detected unusual power signatures. They've dispatched investigation drones to this sector. How long? Chen demanded. 30 minutes maximum. Evacuate immediately, Chen ordered. Split into the designated teams. And bring him, she added, pointing to Krill. His information might be our only advantage now. In the Geneva Collective Embassy's underground preparation chamber, Earth's United Council President, Adeyemi, adjusted her ceremonial robes, while technicians attached a nearly invisible communication device behind her ear. The surrender ceremony would begin in 30 minutes. Remember, Chen instructed through a secure channel from her position in the building's security center, disguised as part of the Human Honor Guard. Stretch every ritual to its absolute limit. We need all 73 minutes of broadcast coverage. I've prepared an exceptionally thorough reading of all 17 surrender articles, Adeyemi replied with the barest hint of a smile, including traditional Nigerian, Chinese, and Amazonian surrender customs that simply must be observed for proper cultural documentation. Across the solar system, resistance members moved into position. On Mars, Dr. Tanaka made final adjustments to ODYSSEUS, the crystalline matrix pulsing with increasing intensity as it processed the neural patterns of 50 volunteers connected to the system. Power consumption is approaching critical, warned his assistant as the facility's lights dimmed momentarily. Reroute from secondary systems, Tanaka replied, his fingers dancing across the controls. We only need another 20 minutes of calibration. In the Geneva Ceremony Hall, Commander Vrax towered over the assembled human dignitaries, his translucent exoskeleton gleaming under the bright lights. 4 Araxian advisors flanked him, their purple skin adorned with ceremonial markings for the historic occasion. Your submission honors the greater harmony, Vrax announced as the ceremony began, his words simultaneously translated into all human languages. The collective welcomes humanity's contribution to our perfect order. President Adeyemi stepped forward, her face a mask of solemn dignity. Before we proceed with the formal surrender, we must observe the traditional Earth custom of historical acknowledgement. She unfolded an impractically large scroll. Beginning with humanity's first organized governance systems in ancient Mesopotamia. Vrax's upper appendages twitched in barely concealed irritation, but he gestured for her to continue. The collective valued complete records, after all. As the ceremony dragged on, resistance operatives worldwide activated their devices simultaneously. In Tokyo, a maintenance worker installed a modified processor in the collective observation tower's communication array. In Lagos, a cleaning service accessed the environmental controls of the collective embassy. In orbit, human technicians performing routine maintenance on collective sensor platforms uploaded specialized algorithms into their quantum networks. On Mars, Tanaka activated ODYSSEUS with a decisive command. Initiate cognitive disruption sequence. The crystalline matrix blazed with energy as it projected amplified human neural patterns into the collective network. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Krill, monitoring the collective communication channels, gasped. It's working. Their network cohesion is destabilizing. Back in Geneva, Vrax paused mid-sentence, his translator suddenly emitting a discordant buzz. One of the Araxian advisors clutched his head, all four eyes blinking rapidly in distress. Technical difficulties, murmured an aide to President Adeyemi, who nodded imperceptibly and launched into an even more detailed description of Earth's historical treaties. In the security center, Chen received confirmation signals from operatives worldwide. Phase 1 successful, she reported through her secure channel. All algorithm implants active and undetected. Monitoring the collective ships in orbit, she observed minute changes in their positioning, barely perceptible shifts that indicated confusion in their normally perfect formation. Begin Phase 2, she ordered. And may whatever gods exist help us all. Proximity alert. Collective security drones approaching Vector 7. The warning echoed through the cramped interior of the stealth shuttle as it carefully maneuvered between debris fields toward the looming form of Vrax's flagship. Inside, Chen checked her equipment one final time while Dr. Reyes calibrated the portable version of Odysseus, a crystalline device roughly the size of a human skull, pulsing with soft blue light. Deploying chaff, reported the pilot, a former asteroid miner with unparalleled navigation skills. Solar storm interference increasing. They won't detect us in this electromagnetic soup. Krill, strapped into a crash harness modified for his amphibious physiology, pointed toward a dimly lit section of the massive vessel. Service entry port at coordinates 227 Mark 83. Maintenance drones use it. Minimal security protocols. Chen nodded to her tactical team. 6 specialists equipped with retrofitted mining tools repurposed as weapons. Remember, non-lethal approaches were possible. We need to preserve system integrity for the upload. Docking in 30 seconds, the pilot announced, hands dancing across the controls as the small craft aligned with the barely visible port on the collective flagship's crystalline hull. Reyes caught Tanaka's transmission from the Mars facility. Odysseus Primary is experiencing system degradation. The collective is adapting to our disruption algorithms faster than anticipated. This portable unit may be our only chance. Understood, she replied, securing the device in a specialized containment pack. How's your end holding up? His image flickered with interference. We're maintaining the disruption, but at significant cost. Power grid is strained to capacity. Mars governor is threatening to shut us down. The shuttle jolted as it made contact with the flagship. We're in, the pilot confirmed. Hurry. We have 19 minutes before the patrol cycle brings drones back to this sector. Krill led them through service conduits designed for maintenance entities, his natural bioluminescence providing just enough light to navigate. The central processor node is 3 levels down. It will be guarded by biometric scanners keyed to collective neural patterns. That's why we brought you, Chen reminded him grimly. They encountered their first resistance at an intersection of crystalline corridors, a floating security sphere that emitted a harsh alert tone upon detecting their presence. One of Chen's team disabled it with an electromagnetic pulse before it could transmit, but the damage was done. Security protocols activating. Krill warned as panels in the corridor began to glow red. The system knows we're here. Run, Chen ordered as the first security drones appeared, hovering machines with multiple appendages tipped with immobilization tools. They battled their way through increasingly dense security, losing 2 team members to paralyzing energy fields. When they finally reached the central processor chamber, a vast spherical room filled with pulsing crystalline structures, they found it sealed behind an energy barrier. We need Krill's neural signature to bypass, Ray said, pulling equipment from her pack. But it will trigger additional security measures. How long to connect Odysseus once we're inside? Chen asked, setting defensive positions as more security drones converged on their location. 3 minutes, minimum, Rise replied. Maybe more. Chen nodded to her remaining team. We'll hold them off. Whatever happens, that device gets connected. She turned to Krill. Ready? The Forian's large eyes reflected the pulsing lights of the chamber beyond. My people were poets before they became tools. Perhaps today we become storytellers again. He placed his webbed hand on the scanner, and the barrier dissolved with a shimmering sound. Admiral Harkov watched from the command center of the asteroid belt's largest hidden facility as thousands of small vessels emerged from concealed hangars carved into the rocky bodies. Each ship represented a miracle of human ingenuity. Mining equipment repurposed into engines, navigation systems cobbled together from civilian technology, weapons adapted from industrial tools. "Status report," he demanded, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display, showing the chaotic battle unfolding throughout the solar system. "Odysseus deployment confirmed successful," reported his communications officer. "Collective fleet coordination deteriorating by 37% and falling. Their formation integrity is breaking down." Harkov nodded grimly. "Launch all remaining vessels. Implement Tactical Directive Omega." Across the display, blue dots representing human ships swarmed toward the larger red markers of collective vessels. Unlike conventional military formations, these human ships moved in seemingly random patterns, constantly changing direction and velocity in ways that defied prediction algorithms. On the command deck of the retrofitted mining vessel serving as Harkov's flagship, Dr. Tanaka's neural interface team monitored the hybrid control systems guiding the human fleet. 20 pilots lay in suspension tanks, their consciousness merged with the ship's systems through modified versions of Tanaka's technology. "Neural engagement at 89% and stable," reported the lead technician. "Creativity indexes exceeding parameters." The largest human ships deliberately positioned themselves to draw collective fire, allowing swarms of smaller vessels to approach from irregular vectors. When 3 human craft accelerated directly into a collective cruiser's propulsion array in a suicide run, the resulting cascade failure disabled the alien vessel entirely. "The collective command cannot compute our tactical approach," explained Krill over a secure channel from Ray's position. His voice contained equal measures of awe and disbelief. "Their strategic models require logical objectives and preservation protocols. Your pilots are violating both." "It's called sacrifice," Rise replied softly, "something they've forgotten in their pursuit of perfect efficiency." The battle shifted as a massive energy surge emanated from Vrax's flagship, now partially disabled by Odysseus, but still operational. The vessel changed course, accelerating directly toward Earth on a trajectory that would bring it within weapons range of the planet's core. "All vessels intercept that flagship," Harkov ordered, but the remaining functional collective ships moved to block the human swarm, sacrificing themselves to clear Vrax's path, the first time they'd displayed such behavior. "They're learning," Tanaka observed with professional interest, "adapting to our unpredictability." Vrax's transmission cut through all communication channels, his voice distorted but message clear. "End your interference or witness your world's destruction. Our planetary decomposition weapons will reduce Earth to its component elements." Analysis confirmed the threat's validity. The flagship carried weapons capable of initiating a chain reaction in Earth's mantle. "He's acting independently," Rise realized suddenly, studying the linguistic patterns of the transmission. "These aren't authorized collective protocols. The communication lacks their standard authentication markers." "Can we use that?" Chen asked from her position near Earth's defensive platforms. Ray's eyes widened with sudden inspiration. "Yes. The Council. They wouldn't authorize planetary destruction. It violates their preservation ethos." She turned to Krill. "We need to contact the Collective Council directly." "Now." "Transmission established," Krill announced, his webbed fingers dancing across the adapted collective interface. Council receptive frequencies aligned. Dr. Reyes took a deep breath, facing the communication array aboard the small command vessel positioned between Earth and Vrax's approaching flagship. Behind her, Chen and Tanaka exchanged grim glances. Everything depended on what happened in the next few minutes. "Honored Council of the Seven," Rise began, carefully employing the formal linguistic structures Krill had taught her. "This is Dr. Elena Rise of Earth, requesting immediate intervention regarding Commander Vrax's unauthorized extinction-level action against a potential partner species. The response came as a ripple of multi-tonal harmonics that the translation system rendered into 7 distinct voices speaking in perfect unison. "We observe. Evidence required." Rais nodded to Tanaka, who transmitted the linguistic analysis of Vrax's threats alongside data showing the flagship's unauthorized trajectory and weapons activation. "Humanity does not seek the collective's destruction," Rais continued, choosing her words with meticulous care. "We seek mutual benefit through difference. Observe our achievements during mere weeks of resistance." She transmitted carefully prepared examples. Adaptive algorithms that improved collective efficiency by 23%, artistic expressions unique in the galaxy, mathematical innovations, and engineering solutions born from resource limitations. "Commander Vrax classifies these as threats," she said. "We offer them as gifts, the products of our cognitive diversity and unpredictability." A prolonged silence followed, broken finally by the Council. "Intriguing assertions. Further evidence required." "Permission to demonstrate?" Rais asked. Upon receiving acknowledgement, she activated a direct neural interface link, a modified version of Tanaka's technology calibrated for collective cognition. Through this connection, she shared not data but human experiences, children's laughter, music's emotional impact, the exhilaration of discovery, the comfort of connection, the drive to create. The Council's response came as fragmented, individual voices rather than their usual unison, something Krill later explained had never happened in recorded collective history. "Your species processes reality differently. Inefficient yet generative. Chaotic but innovative. One final voice, deeper than the others. Commander Vrax exceeds authority. Intervention authorized." Vrax's flagship froze in space, its weapons systems powering down as the Council assumed direct control. The commander's furious protests cut off mid-transmission. 3 months later, in a ceremony broadcast across thousands of worlds, Earth signed the Partnership Treaty, a document without precedent in collective history. Humanity would retain its autonomy while gaining access to interstellar technologies and collective knowledge. In the years that followed, human cognitive approaches revolutionized stagnant collective systems. Chen accepted appointment as Earth's first galactic representative, while Krill became a celebrated mediator, helping other subjugated species transition to partnership status. Dr. Rais and Dr. Tanaka established the Cognitive Diversity Institute, where scientists from across the galaxy studied the unique advantages of different neural architectures. Their previously fractured relationship healed through shared purpose and the understanding that their complementary strengths, her communication expertise and his technical brilliance, had helped save humanity. In a distant observation post at the galaxy's edge, Commander Vrax, stripped of rank and authority, devoted himself to studying human history. His initial contempt gradually transformed into reluctant fascination as he sought to understand how a technologically inferior species had accomplished what no other managed. They had outsmarted the most powerful forces in the galaxy through nothing but human ingenuity.